Research for Radwar's Threat Intelligence Division. Today I have with me Victor Zohar, the head of the SSSCIP of Ukraine. Victor, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting.
How are you doing today?
Well, thanks, Daniel. I'm fine. Today is the important day since we have a meeting at the National Security Defense Council as the reaction for potential decisions made in Russia about annexation of occupied territories. So we understand that the war moves on a new level and will face new challenges, obviously, but I have no doubts that Ukraine will finally prevail with the help of our partners, because it's war between the good and the evil, and thankfully all our friends, our allies are on good side with us, fighting the evil that threatens the whole world.
It's very good to hear that everybody's actually working together to help Ukraine here in this situation. Little question I want to ask you here is, what lessons did Ukraine learn from Russia's cyber strategy in the decade before the invasion in 2022?
Well, cyber aggression against Ukraine started in early 2014, just after the annexation of Crimea and occupation of eastern part of Donbass. And that was during presidential elections, and the Central Election Commission was attacked. That was the moment when Ukraine became a target of this aggression, and it was lately developed by a number of serious cyber attacks on Ukrainian power grid, on Ukrainian media, government agencies like State Treasury, like Ministry of Finance, Transportation, Airport Boryspil, and Ukrainian Railway. And on 27th of June 2017, there was a most destructive cyber attack in history called NotPetya, which affected up to 10% of Ukrainian economy, but in addition provided collateral damage to global companies like Maersk, Mondelez, FedEx, and many others. And we understand that Russians probed us. They tested their cyber weapon on Ukraine. They use these same technologies and same offensive technique in other countries, including United States, during the elections. And later we observed Colonial Pipeline hack, the use of Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities, SolarWinds, and many other facts that prove that Russia was very successful in developing of their offensive capabilities and in targeting of other democracies globally.
Yeah, it definitely seems that Russia used Ukraine as a sandbox in the years leading up to the 2022 invasion, but looking at the way things are going with the threat landscape at the moment, Russia might have shown their hand in the years prior leading up to this, because it seems that Ukraine has a very strong hand when it comes down to defense and countering and mitigating these attacks that are being directed at them. So leading up to the 2022 invasion, what kind of cyber attacks did Ukraine experience?
Well, again, after NotPetya attack, which I mentioned, there was a more or less quiet period of up to 4 years when Ukraine was able to build a comprehensive and robust national cybersecurity system. So we were prepared to the invasion and to escalation of cyber aggression. And that was done together with our partners within different frameworks of international technical assistance projects, and there was a serious attention from the government and from country leaders to cybersecurity issues. But on January 14th, 2022, the cyber attack on Ukrainian government websites was organized, and we consider this as a starting point for cyber component of this hybrid war, which includes a full-scale invasion. The cyber attack, which I mentioned, was later followed by a huge DDoS attack on Ukrainian financial sector and government websites. And there was a huge attack on satellite communication system Viasat in the first hours of their full-scale invasion on February 24th. There were a lot of numerous cyber incidents in the first months of war, but nothing very serious, nothing sophisticated, only a huge number as an attempt to amplify the effect of a full-scale invasion. But this period, to our understanding, was used to develop new sophisticated attacks. In the end of March and beginning of April, we faced a rather serious one, like attacks on Ukr attacks on power grid, when we were able to prevent a blackout on the whole in the whole region. What remains over these 7 months of war? Huge DDoS component remains, and I understand that adversary continues to target our government resources, our telecom segment, financial sector. So Ukraine faces completely new challenges in protecting of our web resources, and it's great to acknowledge that we were able to effectively cooperate with a number of global DDoS protection providers, including Redware, and we are thankful for that.
Awesome. We're glad to be there for you guys. What were some of the more notable techniques and tactics and techniques that were used during the war? You know, some of the first things that we saw were Russia's launching hybrid warfare, right? So you saw cyber attacks in parallel with kinetic attacks.
Absolutely, and yeah, there was signs of simultaneous use of kinetic weapon together with cyber weapon. It happened in certain regions, especially in the south, or when some of civilian objects can be reached by missiles, and at the same time attacks on local ISPs or local authorities' web resources happen. And to our opinion, that is made to amplify the psychological effect of kinetic attacks and amplify the direct impact of destruction of some services, communications, and data. But yeah, there were signs of coordination in some cases, and in some cases there were not. But in general, to our opinion, cyber attacks remain supportive to kinetic attacks because of different level of impact that cyber weapon can bring comparing to kinetic. But over these 8 years prior to war, it was used in covert style, and yeah, it was a continuous aggression, which perhaps looks not so destructive comparing to what Russians are doing with our cities and with our civilian objects, using continuous missile shells to destroy our infrastructure.
It's absolutely insane to watch the hybrid warfare unfold over in Ukraine as far as the kinetic and the cyber aspect goes. What lessons has Ukraine learned about limiting or countering the cyber aggression ability of Russia?
First of all, we were expecting more severity of their aggressions with the start of full-scale invasion. And it didn't happen because of many reasons. That means that perhaps Russian attacking potential was rather difficult to scale. I mean that they have existing troops, existing state-associated actors, but it's difficult to rapidly grow the number of these attackers. When all the country stands hand in hand defending of our infrastructures, and the global community joins our cyber defenders. Perhaps it's obviously more complicated task to provide a serious impact on Ukraine IT systems. And hopefully we were good in this protection. We were prepared. But again, it would be a mistake to underscore the potential of Russian attackers. And I think that they use this time to develop new attacks, to plan new cyber offensive operations against Ukraine and unfortunately against our allies, because Ukraine isn't the only participant of this aggression, isn't the only target. State associated groups listed a number of countries, including the United States, by the way, and our European partners that will be used as a target for cyber aggression. And unfortunately, they are following this list. But I have no doubt, I'm absolutely confident that we were able to effectively counter this cyber aggression, and we need to improve the exchange of information. And we are happy that our partners share a lot of threat intel with us, which we use to prevent cyber attacks. For instance, in a way that it happens in the beginning of April with regards to power distribution company. So international cooperation and cyber coalition that can be made in order to be jointly protected from this aggression is crucial, is the key to success. And I think every country should be aware that it can become a target, and every organization, every enterprise should be aware of high risk, because there were wipers that were widely used in Ukraine, but with regards to our Western partners, ransomware is the popular instrument of attacking because of this ransom component that can be used to fund new offensive operations by Russia. So we should be very careful with building of protection infrastructures against ransomware. So again, strengthening capacities, strengthening cybersecurity infrastructures, effective information exchange, threat intel exchange, and improvement of coordination inside a country and coordination with international partners, and cyber hygiene. So every person should be aware that he's making the decision that can allow attackers to go deeper or can prevent them doing this. So overall awareness on cyber threats and improvement of defending capacities, including information exchange and cooperation, are crucial and are basic requirements for all of us to handle with this aggression. And I think that we can reach these results jointly very quickly and effectively.
One of the funnest parts about the Ukrainian and Russian cyber conflict that I personally enjoy is watching how the IT army and volunteers from around the world have worked together with Ukraine to counter some of these attacks that are coming from, as you mentioned, nation state-backed hacktivists like Hacksnet and Killnet as well. It's also very strange how those groups choose to target those that are supporting Ukraine. So it just shows that we're all kind of in this together at the end of the day. So let me ask you, how have partnerships with the private and public sector benefited Ukraine's security posture?
Well, it's a great question. We really impressed by the level of engagement of private sector to countries' cyber defense, and there were a lot of industry experts that join our service or join armed forces to become conscripts, and and help our service and other agencies protecting countries' infrastructure. Some of them remained volunteers working for their cybersecurity companies or other businesses, staying in cybersecurity positions, but helping us on volunteer basis. And we are thankful to all our friends from other countries, international volunteers who are helping us. There are a lot of, so we work closely with governments, with our partner agencies, with global IT and cybersecurity providers. There are tens and hundreds of companies. And it seems that that is a global cyber resistance which stays on the side of justice and the side of good. There are many volunteers that joined so-called IT army of Ukraine and other groups that are weakening the aggressor's ability to attack Ukraine and other countries. And this is a kind of response to what they've been doing all these years and start doing more actively from the beginning of invasion. So they are selecting targets by themselves, while the government concentrates on cyber defense and cyber protection. But yeah, it should be a very interesting phenomenon which should be discussed and investigated later by academy. But I think that these people open a new page in a cyber protection history, encountering of cyber aggression, and yeah, this is very interesting, and we are grateful to all these people that are weakening our enemy.
Awesome. Well, I have last two questions for you. When I met you in Las Vegas at Black Hat, you noticed you happened to have a T-shirt on that said UA30. So I wanted to ask you, what is the UA30 Cyber Center?
I have the same T-shirt right now. You can see.
Awesome.
Yes, the same T-shirt that our President Zelensky wears.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a symbol. So the acronym UA is Ukraine, and 30 is the anniversary of independence. We are now 31, but we use this UA 30 logo for our cybersecurity center, which is one of key elements of our cybersecurity reform, which was initiated by the President Zelensky, and he opened the cybersecurity center in May 2021. We have cybersecurity training center. Our CERT UA team is located there. Their conference room, so it's a brand new facility which hosts some of our cybersecurity capacities that we have in SSCAP. And yeah, that is about Ukrainian independence, and that is about cybersecurity in Ukraine, and I'm proud to wear it in the same way as our president wears these T-shirts.
Very neat. That's awesome. So last question, what can the community learn from the great cyber conflict, or as I call it, the first cyber war?
Well, I think that for some years, cyber component will remain supportive to conventional war. But because of stealthy nature, covert nature of cyber operations, it can be continued even after the ceasefire on the battlefield. And we see that the actors, the countries which support cyber terrorism are the same, and in some cases they use cyber offensive technique for attacking countries because of political reasons. In some cases they can direct their cyber criminals to gain funding, to gain money from ransom, or simply targeting financial institutions in the world. And as the technology develops, to our estimation, a new risk will evolve, and cyber offensive technique can be effective because of larger impact they can provide to our economies and to our infrastructures. And the conclusion could be one: we should be united, we should be prepared, we should effectively cooperate, we should create a coalition of countries with responsible behavior in cyberspace. We should cooperate with private sector, choosing best technologies for countries' needs, and improve cooperation between agencies and between countries in order to create a safe environment for our normal life, or normal communication and development of our economies.
We're going to take a question real quick from the audience. Victor, how has the private sector helped Ukraine mitigate attacks against its infrastructure?
Well, we were surprised. We received a lot of proposals for assistance from the first days of war, and we continue getting assistance from global players of IT market and cybersecurity market, together with our partner agencies and governments from all over the world. And yeah, we get assistance in hardware, in software, in cloud environments, in threat intel, and some consultancy, and hopefully we use it effectively. And yes, because I was telling about huge growth of malicious internet traffic and continuous DDoS attacks on Ukrainian critical infrastructure and government agencies, I'm proud that Ukraine gets a lot of help from market and technology leaders, including Redware, which offered assistance in mitigation of these DDoS attacks. So there are many global private companies and Ukrainian private companies that are strengthening us, that are helping with technologies and with knowledge and with experience, and we're lucky of having the opportunity to get this assistance and to use it effectively for the needs of protecting of our country's infrastructure. Ukraine continues to stay in the front line of cyber war, and we attract most of aggression. You know, Ukraine was the second country after the United States on the number of targets for quite a long time, but obviously we are unfortunately on the first place. And I believe that Ukraine protects the rest of the world from this cyber aggression. And when we prevail, when our victory happens, I'm absolutely 100% confident that there will be a decrease of aggression when the enemy will not have opportunity to continue targeting and attacking other countries in cyberspace. But this is done together with the governments, with the private sector, with volunteers, and it seems that this is a unique kind of cyber resistance and a new page in history of internet, of information technologies, and in general.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Victor. I know you're a very busy man, but I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for your question. I appreciate your interest, and hope that it will be helpful for the audience to become stronger and to protect ourselves. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, Victor, for sharing your stories and giving us a glimpse into your challenging world. Now, for this next part, I would like to introduce Eva Abergil, our cybersecurity solutions specialist, to share with us the latest trends on nation-state and global attacks. Eva is joining us today from Radware's ERT War Room. Hello, Eva.
Hi, Shira. Thank you very much for having me. Well, what I'd like to share with you today, right here from the ERT room of Radware, which is the emergency response team room, where all of the operations, the security operations are handled globally and in real time, are the global attack trends that we're seeing, whether in nation state attacks or globally with enterprises and other organizations. So first of all, it's very important to mention the scale. You must be aware that the scale of the attacks are only growing. And what we are seeing right here from this room is attacks that are over 1 terabytes, or if we're talking about bot attacks, 5 million, 3 million hits per second. So attacks that are growing in scale and becoming more and more important. Secondly, we are seeing a multi-vector attack. Now, what we're meaning by multi-vector attack is first new and emerging vectors that were never witnessed, seen before, or had any signatures ready and required real-time signatures creation during the attack itself in order to be mitigated. Additionally, we are seeing encrypted attacks. There is definitely a rise in layer 7 encrypted attacks. The reason being they are harder to mitigate. Most organizations do not have efficient solutions to mitigate those attacks and be fully protected from encrypted vectors, such as HTTPS attacks. Now, thirdly, what we are seeing are multi-layered attack. And what we mean by that is layer 3 to 4, but layer 7 attacks all together as one big attack. So it's not only the DDoS attacks that we know, which can range from layer 3 to 4 and sometimes even layer 7, but altogether with attacks that include bots, that include application attacks, and require multi-disciplines in order to protect, such as cloud WAF, DDoS, CLAD, DDoS, and bot managers to make sure we are fully protected from those attacks. And of course, all of those needs to work simultaneously to mitigate one specific attack. And fourth, we're seeing varying origins. Now, of course, we know that origins of attacks can be spoofed, but it's interesting to see specifically for the Ukraine attack, we are seeing a lot of origins from Asia. Although we know it's not specifically the origin that is attacking Ukraine. And for the US, we can see origins from Europe. And what we saw in the attacks for nation-state attacks against the Israel government, where the Malaysian Dragon Force organization claimed responsibility for attacking many Israeli government websites. So this is in Asia, this is Middle East. So we are seeing varying origins for the attack, whether spoofed or not. They're claiming responsibility and sometimes not. So those were the four trends that we are seeing for global attacks, whether nation-state organizations. That was our 2 cents from the Radware ERT room.
Thank you, Eva. Now, before we conclude, I would like to summarize a few points for you to take into consideration when choosing a security solution. Now, Eva talked about the trend of multi-layered attacks moving from targeting the network layer to the application and business layers. You can add to this also the cloud migration, as most organizations today are facing the need to protect multiple environments, multiple clouds, and they have their applications spread across all these environments. So really, there's a need to choose a solution that gives you complete protection across all layers, DDoS protection, WAF, API, and bot management. And it does so consistently across all the environments that you need protection. Second, when we talk about the sophistication of attacks and the new attack vectors that keep emerging, there's a clear need for state-of-the-art protection. Protection that is automated, that learns the behavior of the traffic, and automatically in real time is able to protect from these advanced threats. And it has layers of threat intelligence feed that come in real time and help protect the organization from the most advanced threats. Last, when we talk about the scale of attack, there's a clear need for a service that gives you a global network and can scale to protect you from the largest and the smallest attacks. And you need a solution that is frictionless, doesn't get in the way of your business operations, and also gives you the security experts and the managed services to manage the more complex attacks that you can't handle on your own. So when you want to stay protected, you need to take these three main topics into consideration: complete integrated solution, state-of-the-art protection, and frictionless security and service. All of these together give you more comprehensive protection from the most advanced threats today. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found this information valuable and interesting. I would like to thank Victor again for joining us, taking the time to share his unique perspective, and Daniel and Eva for joining us as well today. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day.